times they get the sex change because maybe they will be more accepted in a community. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, what I will say to that is that's a different circumstance. I believe that there are people who believe they were born in a different person, in the wrong body, if you will. That speaks more to the transgender community. For me, I don't believe I was born in the wrong body. I just believe that I was born. I think God makes some people black, some people Asian, some people Latino, some people straight, some people gay, some people bisexual. I think we've gotten so caught into this idea that everybody is supposed to live a certain way, and that's just not the case. That's just not the case. And with respect to black people, we're so bound by religion. We don't leave room for people to be people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm a little on the ropes about it, but I wish you the best, my brother, and I continue to listen to y'all down here from
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless you.
You too.
Bye bye. Now, I even forgot what we were talking about before.
I said God is always speaking. We're not always listening.
Okay, so when you was finding yourself, your true self, what was God telling you?
Live in your truth. For me, it was more difficult trying to hide, trying to juggle, trying to be something that I wasn't. One of the things that I want to say is,
and just like if you married in an unhappy relationship.
Well, absolutely. And speaking of married, I know several men who are married to women, knowing they are gay, because we live in a world, we live in a society, we live in a community. When I say community, I mean the black community in particular, that's told us it is wrong to be who you are. It is wrong to be gay, and you're going to go to hell, and et cetera, et cetera. And so they believe that it's easier to be married to a woman and just juggle having sex with a man on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and even for me, as a person who knows who he is, I came to that same crossroad when I was in college. My last girlfriend was in college. And she used to talk about being married, and I talk about this in the book, but she used to talk about being married and all of those things. And I used to, that used to bounce around in my head. But I knew at some point I had to be honest with myself, and that I would not take her through that. And when we think about men on the quote unquote DL, we always look at it as they're intentionally deceiving. But I believe that there are some men who absolutely believe that once they get married, or if they get married, that the feelings for men will go away, because that's what they've always been told. The church has told them, all you have to do is pray away, just be faithful. And, so that's part of the reason why we have this type of quote unquote deception, for lack of a better word. But for me, I even played with the idea, well, maybe it would be easier to just find a woman to be married to, because we all want that level of consistency. We all want to be able to go home to someone, to know that we're sharing our life with someone. So, and I think as a person who identifies as gay, we struggle and wonder if it's possible for us to find it with another man.
Okay.
So some take what appears to be the easier route and just decides to go ahead and be with a woman.
Okay, we have a caller. Let me take this call. Hello, you on the line with Keeping Up with the Joneses?
May I make a comment, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, you're live on the radio. You can make your comment.
Oh, I'm on air now.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking in terms, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but when you quote God, how do you put away certain portions of the book and scripture and then start quoting God, what God says or what he does, and then dismiss the rest in terms of male-female relationship?
I'm not dismissing. Oh.
Not being disrespectful, but how do you square that?
Okay, he's going to respond.
I'm not dismissing anything. I'm simply saying. So here's my question for you. I will answer you with a question. Are you saying to me that everything that's written in the Bible you live up to? Every single thing in the Bible?
Hello? Hello?
I think we lost her.
Yeah, I
but
think
but
she-
what I was saying to her is a lot of times people will pick and choose what they're going to use from the Bible, especially since we're talking about being gay, and she obviously is not a person who identifies as gay. She has issues with that. But I'm more than certain if we looked at her life, there are things in the Bible that she doesn't live up to. And again, that goes back to the point that I was making earlier. God grades us on a different scale than man. And what I know for sure is the Bible has been rewritten for over many times. It's been rewritten many times. And at one point, the Bible was used to justify slavery. And we all know that that isn't something that we would even dare to tolerate today. So we have to stop using that. You know, the Bible also speaks about adultery.
Yes.
So how many people listening have not fallen to that? You understand what I'm saying? So we can't speak as if there's a hierarchy or one verse is more important than another.
Yeah, because after I say this, I'm gonna take 2 calls, and I want you to read a piece from the book.
Okay.
But I remember I had a conversation with someone because I have friends that he's gay, and the guy told me that God would accept him because he cheated on his wife before he would accept a gay male.
Yeah, and that's foolishness. But see, here's the thing that I will say too. Religion is all about man and power and control. Spirituality is about your connection to God. Those are 2 different things.
Okay, let me take this call. Kim, you live on Keeping Up with the Joneses?
Yeah, I got going there.
Hi,
doing?
how are you?
The thing I had to say is, God is the one that's going to judge everybody for everything. Everybody wants to stand judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, that's much more important thing. Everybody is weighing down the dogma and
Mm-hmm.
but the whole thing is resolved. It's resolved in the judge of everybody, everything. All the things, one thing is worse than another thing, and everybody calls out a lot of things, but what if it's not the same commandment, and it's not the same, you know, well, let's all be the judge of that, worry about your own,
Absolutely.
Thank,
let everybody, stand their own,
thank you.
worry about your relationship with God, what you do for mankind, and stop with all the judgment.
Thank you so much, Kim. I have to go to the next caller because Mr. Stewart's going to read us some scriptures from his book. But I thank you so much for calling in. Bye-bye. Hello, Dirk. You on the line with Keeping Up with the Joneses?
Yes, her name is Erica. But anyway, I just wanted to say hi to you and your guests.
Thank you.
Hi,
How
how
you
are you?
doing?
Hey, I just want to first of all say that I definitely respect people who deal with homosexuality or gay, and I don't take it for granted that it is a constant struggle with a society that pretty much been anti-gay. Here's my assessment on with respect to the Bible. I believe that I believe in the Bible completely, and I believe that what you said was, the Bible was rewritten, but God has the power to make sure that nothing changes in His Word. It would be to undermine His Word. But what I do want to say is that I think we all were born in sin. Because of that, I think some people were born with the propensity to be gay or homosexual. That's a part of the sin. Just like some people are born in their nature to be pedophiles. It's like some of us are born to be promiscuous as men, even though we're heterosexual. We can't stop. We can't be faithful. In other words, we can't on our own be faithful. In other words, it's a struggle. All, one way or another, we all are born with a sinful nature. Some of us may be gay. Some of us may have steal. Some of us may lie. All of us, we got some kind of issue, and all of it can send us to hell. My point that I want to make is that I don't believe that you can say something is right because it's that you're born with that nature. But what I do believe is God has enough grace and mercy to save all of us, and that each person points to their heart. It's because you're gay, and He understands that, but He also has the power to help you make it through that struggle, and He understands whether you want to live in it or whether you're just saying, I'm not giving up the fight, this is how I really want to live. And I'm sorry, that's just my
I thank you so much for calling in. He's going to read the scripture and then he'll respond to what you mentioned.
Actually, I want to respond first
Okay.
because I may forget what I was going to say.
Okay, okay.
I do agree with parts of what you said, but I think what's happened is we've made people who are gay feel or believe that because they're gay, they're going straight to hell, or because they're lesser than the rest of humanity. And I don't agree with that. I believe what you said, that God judges us based on our heart. But the part of the reason why you see people struggling who are gay, and I'm not going to call any names, but you see people all the time, especially in the gospel community, who say that they've been redeemed and they no longer suffer from that because they've prayed and they've been delivered and da-da-da. Those people continue to struggle.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it's about living in your truth. And
And guess what? We all want to continue to struggle. And the thing is that I would say to you, brother, is that don't give up. Continue to struggle because we all have to struggle and fight up against sin. And that's what pleases God. Understanding that we can't do it alone, but we can do it with Him. And that's anybody. All sin is sin. I don't care whether you're drunken or not. We just have to do it with Jesus Christ. And we need to just fight up against. You will fall many times, and you just keep getting up and keep loving God and let Him do it.
Thank you so much for calling in.
what I'll say to that is, for me, and I think for most people who identify as gay or bisexual or whatever the case is, it broke my heart to admit to myself that I was gay.
Okay.
It broke my heart. And with a broken heart, it bleeds. And that bleeding heart, it bled through many of the friendships that I had, many of the relationships that I had, up until the point that I decided to give myself permission to be who I am, without apology. Without apology. And I think what has to happen is you have to affirm who you are. You have to affirm who you are. And the struggle that I have with the black community with respect to homosexuality is that we find it so easy to condemn a community of people when we've been condemned. When we've been condemned. There's no, there's so many parallels between how we've struggled in this world in America with white folks and how gay people struggle, especially when we're talking about black gay people, just getting acceptance from our own community. And that's why it's the same struggle.
Now, while you find the page, it was if you look in chapter A Whole New World, you speak of an individual named Chance. And I got a little bit emotional because Chance was an individual who he stated that he suffered from depression and that he was involved with his mate who was also HIV positive. And even though Chance knew that his mate was HIV positive, he still had sex unprotected with this individual because he was still manifesting in his depression. And the reason why sometimes we manifest with depression, I will say in the gay community, because they're not accepted.
Right. You're looking for that love that you never got from your family. So many gay folks that come from black families often find themselves cut off from their family, for lack of a better word. The family disowns them because they can't or won't accept them. You know, so you go out into the world and you're looking for that love that you should have gotten from your family. You know.
And this individual, his mate was much older than him.
Yeah.
So it was his mate, but also like a father figure, a protector, a provider.
Right.
Okay.
I have a family friend, a very close family friend, when he was 14, and I'm older than he is. But when he was 14, I was old. I'm older. I'm probably 10 years older than he is. When he was 14, I was just really starting to come out. I was about 24.
Okay.
But he was already telling his mom, his grandfather, and his grandmother that he was gay. And they kept telling him, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're just going through a phase. And he kept explaining to them, this is not a phase. But we refuse to believe what is. When I say we, I'm talking about black folks. It's like we believe that everything can just be prayed away. You know, and I believe that some things God gives us to deal with, period. Period.
So he's ready. You ready to read it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, again, this is the very first piece that I wrote from my memoir, words never spoken. The first man I developed real feelings for contracted HIV from the relationship he had prior to us meeting. But he found out 2 months after we met. It was October 1st, 1999 to be exact. I'll never forget that date because that day also marks my youngest nephew's birthday. In truth, Salim didn't know if he contracted the virus from his ex or a stranger because he and his boyfriend did whatever with whomever while in that arrangement. It was dysfunction from the onset. That relationship was indicative of all the fears I harbored about being with another man intimately. Consistent heartache, one after another, fueled by a series of love triangles, cheating, and of course, HIV. After all, haven't we all been programmed to believe the gay community is the breeding ground for this disease? I imagined to be gay would mean being lonely because it meant isolation from family. A life fraught with short-lived relationships ending prematurely because men are believed to be incapable of monogamy in heterosexual relationships. So the idea of two men living happily ever after was inconceivable for me. Thus, I didn't want anything to do with being gay, and I prayed for years that I wouldn't grow up to be. Salim and Wayne never determined who was responsible for bringing the disease into their lives. All he knew was that during an argument that lasted until 4 a.m., his ex told him he needed to be tested. I had just begun exploring my sexuality the year before, so for me, dating someone HIV positive was the equivalent of a girl getting pregnant during her first sexual encounter, a nightmare realized. I had an idea of what being gay in the life entailed long before acting on feelings that followed me through childhood, because family members teased me, calling me sissy, fag, or punk when upset with me, and seeing Paris as Burning for the first time, cringing yet identifying with the people in the documentary. The sneers and taunts from family were packed with enough power to shatter the best self-esteem and confirmation that gay was wrong. It's the reason many of us grow up despising other gay men, refusing to date those with feminine qualities. I know a great deal of men who struggle with their sexuality because they were molested as children, and a percentage of those men are confused with whether or not they are gay because they were victims of molestation. The answer to that question is deeply personal and specific to each individual. I wasn't molested, and I know I was born gay. It wasn't a choice, it wasn't a decision, nor was it learned. I knew at an early age but chose to avoid it. From what I knew about gay people, all were interested in becoming women, wearing women's clothes, flamboyant, or destined for hell. I wasn't. I concealed my feelings and innermost thoughts from puberty through my college years. I actually believed if I never acted on that which I was avoiding, then I wasn't really gay, and I would somehow escape being gay. It was denial at best, and quite possibly how some men slip into living double lives. I thought suppressing the feelings was the remedy for not being gay as an adult, and the route around all the labels that came with it. As a teenager, I was never attracted to any male in particular. I was simply intrigued by the male physique in gym classes and porn, if my friends and I happened to watch. My first sexual experience was with one of my childhood friends. His family had a motorhome parked in the backyard, and from time to time his mother used it to watch the soaps or to nap. We climbed in one day when it was unoccupied and took turns humping each other on the bed with our pants around our ankles and our penises pressed against each other.
Okay, that's going to be enough. That's going to be enough. Now we have 2 calls. I'm going to answer the first call. Hello, Mr. Marvin. Thank you for holding.
Yes, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing?
I want to pick up from a couple questions before that one of you started to call. My question is this: when you get over one of the scriptures and use another, but I want to you said that God won't judge us the same as humans judge each other.
I believe God grades us on a different scale than man, absolutely.
Okay, now if I stole your car and I went before a judge, when God said, "Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill," and if I went before a judge in certain court, stealing is taking something without somebody's permission. I'm just taking it. I wonder. That. I think, how can God judge different than a human being? In other words, how can He look at that different than a circuit court judge? He don't think so.
You think that God? You think that a circuit court judge is on the same level as God?
No, but now still, if a judge say I stole your car, he's going to look at it the same way God looks at it, because that means I stole something from something without your permission.
I don't believe God. I don't believe God judges and would punish you by sending you to jail. I think God gives us all an opportunity to repent and to be forgiven.
While we here on earth,
God wouldn't send you to jail. The court would send you to jail.
no, you send yourself to jail. Jail already down there.
Well, no, that would be man. That would be the court system that would send you to jail. God wouldn't send you to jail. God gives you an opportunity to repent and to be free.
Why you here on earth?
We're here on earth to make a difference. We're here on earth to learn to coexist, not to judge each other. Give me an opportunity to speak. I've heard you. God gave us time on earth to be free, to make a difference, to make contributions, to make this world a different place once we leave here, to shape it, to alter it with good, not to stand in judgment, of one another.
Mr. Marm, I have to go to another call that was on hold too. Thank you so much for calling. Hello, Winnie. Hello. Hello, Winnie. Hello. Hello. Okay, so you read the chapter from the book.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the chapter about Chance, can you describe his character in the book?
Chance was a friend of mine, and he is what's stereotypically gay, if you will.
Okay.
He was flamboyant. It was very obvious that he was gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I met him very early in my transition, if you will, when I was coming to terms with being who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he challenged me in a lot of ways, because he's not someone that I would have been comfortable around. But he challenged me and taught me so many things without even knowing that he was teaching me things, because he was so free and he was so unabashed. He lived his life without apology. He was from New York, and I've come to understand that depending on where you're from, it really does play a huge part in how you acclimate, how you come out.
More accepted.
Right, and because New York is a fast city, and you see it's a melting pot. You see many different types of people. Where someone from Mississippi or Alabama may struggle a little more with being free, but he had come out when he was 14, and so his family knew. He was in a group he was in a group for teenagers who identified as gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender.
Okay.
So he taught me so much just by watching him and just by being around him.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there anything in your life that you would like to erase?
No, I don't live my life in regret. Now, there are things that I wouldn't want to go back to, in terms of the struggle, because, again, the book, Words Never Spoken, is not just about my coming out story. It is also my journey as an entrepreneur. I own a greeting card company. And so and like I said, I started off writing music. So it's also about the setbacks that I had. The book is for anyone who's starting a business and they're so close to giving up because there's no evidence that they should hold on or that it's going to work out in their favor or that it's going to get better. So it's about some of those dark times with the business as well. I remember one month in particular, I had 13 overdraft fees. And I just kind of felt like those were signs that I was on the wrong course, that I wasn't supposed to be a writer, that I was on the wrong, going in the wrong direction. But that was just, I realize now that was just, those were tests. Those were spiritual investments. You know what I mean? Those obstacles create or teach you how to be more compassionate to people. There's so many lessons. There were so many lessons in those setbacks.
And you have a book sign coming up.
I do. May 28th here in Baltimore at Creative Alliance. It's from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So if you guys want to come out with your questions, we're actually going to have a Q&A after the reading. But all of the information is on my website, www.craigthewriterstewart.com. But yeah, it's Wednesday coming, 7 to 9 at Creative Alliance.
Okay, for someone that's struggling for entrepreneurship or even coming out, what words of encouragement that you will give them?
You know, to quote the Bible, the race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but to the one who endureth to the end. So it really is about perseverance and hanging in there and holding on and believing with all that you have that it's possible. If you can see it, you can have it. If you can see it, you can have it. But, you know, the difference between those who make it and those who don't are the ones who hold on. You know, you have to keep your hand on the plow and keep going.
Well, through your trials and tribulations, what strengthens you the most?
Learning patience, having that spiritual connection. I pray every night on my knees. My grandmother taught me that. I talk about that in the book as well. Every single night I pray. There was a point in my life where I stopped praying on my knees. I was in college, and I called my grandmother, and she said to me, she asked me if I was still praying, and I told her, yeah, I was still praying, and she said, well, are you still getting down on your knees? And I said, well, no, I don't get on my knees every night. She said, well, you need to get down on your knees every night. You know, it's a sign of respect and reverence. And so from that point, I started getting back on my knees every single night. And so I write about that in the book. So some of the emails that I get from people have been to say, you know, because of you and because of the conversation with your grandmother, I now get on my knees again to pray. So, yeah.
And this is my second time meeting you, but reading your book, like I said, every things that you speak on your book, I can relate to. And what drives me more close to your book is your strength. Because there have been times that I even felt like giving up on the radio station. Because people think you come on a radio show and you talk and you talk and you talk and that's what it is. No, I try to bring individuals on the show that can uplift individuals, that can help rebuild the community. And I want people to look at me and say that even though I came where I came from, I'm not there anymore. I want to lead by example. So I just want to commend you on your strength and your motivation to keep pushing and keep pushing. And I just want you to know that no matter what people may judge you, God has the last say.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I wish you nothing but peace and blessings. And I hope that God continues to cover you. And in a society, like I go to church every week, in a society, I just want people to know that before you judge someone, learn their story, read their chapters. Every individual have a story. Every individual have a chapter. Before you judge this person, no matter if it's Mr. Stewart, me, or anyone else, get down and sit down and have a conversation to them. Maybe it's someone in your neighborhood or in your parents' neighborhood that's just rowdy, it's out of control. Sit that young brother or that young sister down and ask them. Maybe you can understand why they act the way they act, why they speak the way they speak, why they carry themselves the way that they carry themselves. Because every person have a story. Please don't be quick to judge individual, because the same person you judging may be the same person lifting you up when you need to. And Mr. Stewart will be having a book signing on the 28th. I will be there on Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be there 7 to 9. I will be there after I get out of school, man. And I just want to thank y'all for listening. Next week, the show is not over though, but before we start discussing and miss something, next week I will be celebrating my 1-year anniversary on the radio.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It'll be May 31st to be exact, but I will be celebrating next week. And it was a struggle. It was a struggle because I thought people was judging me. And the same people that you think will support you won't be the people that's supporting you. It will be people that you never know. And Mr. Stewart, even though this is our second time meeting, what are some words that you can leave me with that will help me through my journey?
You know, you have to keep your eye on the prize. And as long as you know what your vision is, just stay focused to it. Because not everybody's going to be able to support you, because not everybody knows what it is to dream. Not everybody knows what it is to follow their passion, because most people take the safe route. They take a job that they don't want, that they don't like, and they go to their job day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And sometimes people, they don't know how to respond to a person who is strong enough to decide to go against the grain. You know, so that's why it's really important to have that spiritual connection, that close connection. I believe that our conscience is our direct line to God. And that's with whatever you're talking about. That's with your decision to move out of state to a new state, or take a new job, or whatever the course is. Your direct connection is your conscience to God.
And where can individuals purchase your book?
The book is available on all of the e-readers as well as Amazon.com. But again, if you go to my website, it'll take you to all of the places where you can buy the book. Again, the website is CraigTheWriterStewart.com, and it's called Words Never Spoken.
Okay, and they can find you on Instagram and Facebook?
Absolutely. On Instagram, I am Craig the Writer Stewart. And then Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Words Never Spoken.
Okay, and give them the date one more time for the...
The date for the reading is May 28th, 7 to 9. It's at Creative Alliance. That's on Eastern Avenue. And again, the information is on my website, CraigTheWriterStewart.com. We'll be there from 7 to 9.
Okay, and I just want to thank everybody for listening.